What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Nate. Appreciate you tuning in to today's video. We're going to be talking about something that is on a lot of guys' minds, right? Especially if you're looking for a girl or you are dating, right? You have a girlfriend, wife, fiance, whatever, right? That is, how can you tell if she is cheating on you, right? A lot of videos have been made on this. A lot of guys have put their opinions out there. And guys, some of it's true, some of it's, I think, a little out there, right? But I'm going to let you know from my experience, from my friend's experience, from things I've seen, what tends to be true across the board, right? And what tends to be fact, right, versus fiction. Because let's be honest, guys, a lot of times we can be in our heads and overthink things, and we can assume the worst. And because of all the social media, because of everything being pushed about people being untrustworthy, we tend to take it and run, right? Guys, I'm going to be sharing some experiences here. So one of the first ways you can tell, I've talked about this in one of my other videos, is the social media, right? To me, this is the number one biggest thing. If she has a social media that she is constantly posting seductive and provocative pictures, she's marketing her beauty to the world. She's marketing her beauty to all the men following her, to all the men that might DM her, right? I'm not saying that the occasional picture at the beach is going to be a huge cause for concern, right? But if the social media is dominated by these provocative pictures, it's going to be a pretty clear sign, guys, that maybe she's not looking to settle down just yet, especially if you're in a relationship, right? If she's not taking this stuff down, if she's continuing to do this, that's a big sign, right? No woman is going to market herself like that, just like no man who's trying to be loyal is going to keep marketing himself as basically a single guy, right? Women know that men are attracted to beauty, right? They know this. They know that if they're more attractive, they get more attention from men, people in general, but more men, right? So if she's going out of her way to do this, obviously you're going to know that something might be a little aloof. But guys, some of the other things you can look at as well. How is she around other people, right? Are you the exception to the rule? Are you the only one that she's nice to? And the reason I'm saying that is because it's very easy to get wrapped up into a narcissistic woman who is going to use you as her ego boost, who's going to be nice and do everything right in the book for you, but live a different life. So if she has a track record of maybe burning through friends, she has a track record of maybe not being the most faithful woman, right? You need to be on your guard. All right. Some other things that you need to be aware of. All right. If things are inconsistent, if she's telling you one thing, but her friends are saying another thing, maybe there's a story from a night, things are off, the sequence of events are out of place, timelines are off, you know what I'm talking about. You need to be on your guard big time. All right. People shouldn't be hiding stuff from you. There shouldn't be any sort of beating around the bush, right? And hand in hand with that, if she's constantly wanting to go out and socialize and party, if she's constantly wanting to go out with her friends and go to a bar, right? And I would even say the occasional time as well. But the biggest factor is going to be if she wants to bring you along or not, right? Are you invited to these things? Does she make an effort to get you to go? Or is it just sort of last minute, I'm going to go and do this, right? Some things you got to watch out for. All right, one of the other big things, guys, is repeated offenses. Now, I've heard it said that if a woman betrays you, right, or if she goes against the rules, you have a choice, right? You can either lay down the law again, you can enforce it, and you can distance yourself, or you can cut and run, right? This is going to be a judgment call, guys. There's not going to be an easy answer. There's not going to be a, hey guys, this is exactly what you do, because there's some times where a woman's going to test your boundaries, right? She's going to test certain things to see if you're who you say you are. But there's also going to be times where it's going to be pretty obvious that you should leave. And that's going to be up to you guys. But I would say the biggest sign is going to be if it's a repeated offense. If she does that same thing, not once, but twice, 3 times, if you keep coming back to the same issue over and over and over, well, guys, you have to know what your deal breakers are. You have to know what you're willing to put up with. And what I'm seeing these days is a lot of guys, they're willing to go so far. They're willing to go, they're trying to fix the problem that their girlfriend, that their significant other has made. That's just not how it works. You can't change someone, okay? They have to be willing to change. And sometimes you will not be able to be with that person. There might be a time, it's happened, guys, it's very rare, but sometimes people have to split up. They have to go their own ways for a very long time so that the people can work on themselves and come back together stronger. But don't hold your breath for that, okay? Some other big things, right? And this is pretty obvious, but I think a lot of guys, again, we're told that we're insecure. We're told that we're thinking too much into things. How is she around the other sex, right? Does she respect you around other men? Is she putting her business out on social media? Is she basically bringing down your character, right? Is she building you up or is she tearing you down? That's what it comes down to. If she's around other men, is she overly flirtatious or is she just friendly, right? Because some of you guys, I'm gonna be real with you, some of you are just gonna be flat out jealous, especially if you've never had maybe an attractive girl before. As soon as you see her talking to another guy, you're gonna get this feeling of, jealousy within you, and you have to check that, right? But if there's clear indications that she is making herself available to other men, right? Touching on other men, overly flirting, right? If she's putting herself in situations to be alone with other men, right? That's a pretty good sign. You should probably run. Because you're probably the guy, you're probably the boyfriend material, you're probably the long-term safe material, and she's still on the market looking for some Chad or some guy to sweep her off her feet, right? She's still got that side of her, those feelings, those whatever you want to call it, that she's not willing to give up. Right? She's not willing to put that aside, or you're legitimately not her first option in every area. You do not want to be a woman's second, third, fourth, fifth option. All right. But guys, I mean, I could make a huge list, right? And I could talk about some other things, right? I could say, okay, yeah, if she goes out drinking, if she's got a problem with alcohol, she's got problems, like pretty big problems with her family, right? These are all things you should really, watch out for. But truthfully, guys, at the end of the day, the only way you're going to know if she's cheating on you is if you find the proof, if you find the evidence. Because you could have a girl who does all these things, who has all these red flags. She might not cheat on you. Believe it or not, she might be putting herself in situations where that could happen, right? Maybe she kind of deep down wants it to happen, but maybe it doesn't, right? Or maybe no one's ever told her that the way she's living, the way she's doing things, isn't the way you're going to be in a relationship. And that's why, guys, at the beginning of a relationship, you have to state what you expect. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just like going to a job, interviewing for a job, right? The interviewer is going to ask you, okay, what do you expect pay-wise? What do you expect, what are you looking for? All these things. You have to treat dating like interviews, right? Because as men, we want someone who's going to help us. We want someone who's going to be our sidekick, right? We want someone who's going to be that helping hand, right? I'm not saying a mother. I'm not saying someone to just use, right? I'm saying good women are going to want to follow you. They're going to want to add to your life. They're going to want to build you up, genuinely. And intrinsically, a woman who wants to do this, who sees you as her top option, is not going to be living this crazy lifestyle. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're with a woman like this, right, with some of these traits I was just talking about, you find yourself with a woman like this, you need to be on your guard. You need to either lay down some expectations, right? Some things you look for going forward. You don't tell her, hey, this is what I want you to do. Sometimes that's what you should do, but most of the time that doesn't really work, guys. You have to just state your expectations. You have to state, hey, when I'm dating someone, I expect this from my girlfriend. She can take it or leave it. And if there's repeated offenses, guys, then that means she doesn't respect you for whatever reason. You don't have to know. You don't have to figure it out. Maybe you messed up. Maybe you were too beta at the beginning of the relationship, right? Maybe you didn't set the tone, but ultimately, guys, he doesn't respect you for a reason. Could be multiple reasons, right? She could see you as a safe option because maybe she just got through with, you know, being with a bunch of dudes, and she sees you as a good, safe option that's just attractive enough or just this enough, and she wants to settle down and have that stability. You never know. But guys, her actions are going to show. It's going to show who she is. And you're never ever going to find out if she's cheating on you or not unless you find the proof. But I will say this. If you can't trust a woman, there's two reasons. One, you have a issue with yourself, right? You have trust issues with yourself. You have jealousy issues. You can't trust who you are, etc., right? But assuming that's not you, assuming that you are in control of your emotions and you're in control of your life and you're in control of all that, right? You could be the most outstanding man on planet Earth. You could have it all together. You could have the charm, the masculinity, the money, the future, the potential. You could be the complete package, man. Tall, nice clothes, nice car. You could have it all. But there are women out there who will just use you, right? Look at the NBA. Look at the NFL. Look at the music industry. Look at Hollywood. Guys, those people, a lot of guys would consider, a lot of those male actors, people would consider, you know, the top of the top men. They have it all. They have it all. The looks, the personality, the money, the connections, they got it all. There are women who will hop between NFL players, major sports players, Hollywood people. They don't care, right? They don't care. To them, life is just a feeling. And depending on if you guys are spiritual or not, this holds true. There's two verses in Proverbs. If you've never read Proverbs, I highly recommend every man read it. There's a lot of wisdom in there. There's two things. One, it says that an adulterous woman is like a woman who eats and wipes her mouth and says that she's done no evil. She's done no wrong. Never crosses her mind. It's as simple to her as just eating a meal and wiping off her mouth and just being like, I haven't done anything wrong. That's scary, guys. That is a really scary thought. No remorse, no shame, nothing. Some women don't feel this. And some women, guys, are never going to change, right? Straight up. They might want to do the right thing. They might deep down want to be with a good guy long term, but they'll never be able to because they have such a low self-image. They have low self-esteem. They don't think that they're worthy of a relationship. Maybe they had a father who was never there, a father who left, a father who abused them. Maybe they come from a broken family, broken home, and they never dealt with those issues on their own. And so what they do is they find good guys who want to settle down, who want a family, who want all these things. And part of them wants it. They want the fairy tale, right? They want the commitment. But on the other side, they don't think that they're worthy of it. They will literally self-destruct. They will self-sabotage you, your relationship, your reputation, because all that has to happen is she has to feel a certain way, like you don't love her, like you're not there for her, like you don't care about her. Maybe she's got friends whispering in her ear. Maybe she's got a guy at work telling her that you aren't all that if you really loved her, you would text her, that, you know, her and him have so much more chemistry than, you know, you do, right? That he's always there for her, you're not. It could be a plethora of things, guys. You could be the most alpha man out there. You could have it all. You could be an alpha man who wants a family, who's charming, who's also kind, who also knows when to put his foot down. It doesn't matter. Some women just live by their feelings. Ultimately, guys, there is hope though, right? Not all is lost. I don't believe in all women are cheaters and liars. I don't. There's good women out there, but they're hard to find. And a lot of men are looking for them in the wrong areas. You're I can say this with almost 100% certainty, you're not going to find them at bars and clubs. You're not going to find them at parties, right? You're going to find them at church. You're going to find them at community organizations, volunteering events, things like that. Even then, you have to do your due diligence. You have to vet them, right? Because sometimes women just put themselves in those situations so that they can find good guys, right? Do people change? Sure. Women can change, right? You might have somebody who was crazy, right? Who you had to break up with or broke up with you, comes back in your life 5-10 years later, and that's going to be a judgment call, man. You're going to have to make that choice for yourself. You're going to have to figure out if the actions match who they say they are, if they've really changed, right? I wouldn't recommend going back. But people do change. It's just very rare. But ultimately, guys, there's hope, and that hope is Proverbs 31, the last chapter, talks about what it means to find a wife, right? What it means to find a good woman. And the first trait, I find it funny, I didn't realize this until a few months ago, but the first trait is that the heart of her husband safely trusts in her. So guys, if you don't have any trust, if there is that feeling in the pit of your stomach that you just can't trust her, right? Think about it, guys. There's people in your life that you trust. There's your buddies, maybe some family. Think about those times in your life where you trust people. That doesn't mean they're perfect, right? But think about those people in your life that you can depend on, that you can trust, right? Think about how that feels. Think about what that looks like. And if you're with a girl who says one thing to you, does one thing with you, but then lives a life another way, or what I call the mask slipping, right? Especially if she's a narcissistic woman, again, living her life one way, but then sometimes she'll let that fall and she'll be a completely different person. Maybe for a brief period of time, but she can go from the sweetest person in the world to the meanest, cruelest person in the world. She'll say things to you like, if you ever hurt me, I will hurt you back. Or if I ever feel hurt, I will hurt you, right? I've had women say this to me. So you need to be careful. But know that if there's trust, if you trust her, guys, it's not gonna really matter. You could have, she's not gonna be perfect, right? There might be things you disagree with, but just know that sometimes you can't look at just the external things and just write women off, because if you do that, guys, you're probably going to write off 99.99999% of all women, right? I'm not saying that's, you know, if you want to live that life, cool, right? I'm saying give them a shot, right? Give some of these women a shot. I'm not saying you have to date the women who have these blatant red flags, but I'm saying talk to them, get to know who they are, right? And like I said, you will feel that feeling of trust. If you don't, again, you can figure this out very early on. People will show you, people will tell you who they are very quickly. Don't believe that 98% of the time, that nice person, and the 2% of the time, all of a sudden they're a completely different person who switches. You need to cue into that, right? So be very careful, and know, guys, that if she's cheating on you, until you find out, you're really never gonna know. You could have all these red flags. You could think certain things. You could have a whole FBI crime map out with all the strings and all the thumbtacks attached. That doesn't mean she's cheating on you. But if you are getting to that point, if you're starting to think like that, if you're starting to notice inconsistencies, if there's something in your heart that's unsettled, guys, it's probably for a reason, right? Trust but verify. If you guys have open phones with each other, you guys trust each other with your stuff, and that's been established, look through each other's phones. Hopefully you will never have to, right? But trust but verify. Because sometimes, guys, and I'll end the video with this, what I see is guys will put themselves in situations to fail. They will bury their head in the sand, and they'll just ignore everything. And they'll just say, oh, if I just trust her enough. Oh, it's all in my head. I'm just paranoid. I just have to trust her. I just have to keep trusting her. Guys, there's people out there, there's women out there who will take advantage of that all day long and have no remorse. Except, of course, if you leave them. But I guarantee you, they probably got a few on backup. It might hurt her. She might be kind of devastated. She might want you back eventually. She might come back years later. I know, guys, women have come back a decade or more later. Most of the time, they do, especially if you are a decent person, right? So be careful. And know that the only way you're going to find out is if you catch her. But if you can't trust her, it's probably time to move on because you probably don't want to know. So guys, if you got any experiences, you got any questions, any comments or concerns, let me know below. You can always email me in my channel description. I'll put my email there. But I'll see y'all at the next one.